I'm Sherry Bagley. I'm the Executive Director of AEE, the Association for Experiential Education. We're glad you found your way here to this webinar with College Outside. If you found your way here through our website, great. If you didn't, be sure to check us out at www.aee.org. And we have lots of other exciting events happening, including regional conferences that are virtual right now, so anybody can attend. We've got our international conference coming up in November, and we'll be doing more webinars and all kinds of other things throughout the time. So we're excited to have you here, and I'd like to introduce Sarah Lockwood. She's the person in charge of College Outside, and College Outside has partnered with AEE during our conference and during this time. And Sarah has some really important information for y'all. So thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks, Sherry. Happy to be here. Nice to meet you all. My name is Sarah Lockwood. I'm the founder and CEO of College Outside. And today we're going to do a webinar on how the outdoor industry's supply chain affects buying cycles for outdoor educators or anybody who's purchasing gear. We're doing this webinar because there's been some pretty big changes, and we have been talking with different brands and manufacturers over the last 6 months and realized that there were some pretty big changes coming down the line. And so after probably 300 hours of phone calls, we decided to aggregate that all into a webinar and share it with y'all. And hopefully it's enlightening and helps you plan better, and ultimately just reduces frustration for all of us over the next couple of years. So before we get started fully, we've got some ground rules for today. Just so you know, we are going to be recording this, and so if that's a concern, perhaps turn your video off. Otherwise, we'd love you to have your video on. We're doing this in a meeting style. Hopefully we do like to see each other. So if you can have your video on, I would appreciate it. And you can see each other's beautiful faces. Let's say, please stay on mute, and we're going to be keeping everybody on mute if possible. If you've got questions, you can go ahead and drop them into the chat during the presentation. We prefer the chat over the Q&A feature. And this presentation is probably going to be 20 to 30 minutes maximum, and we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A after. Let's see. The wonderful Austin Langley is on my team. She's waving right now. She's going to run tech support for us today. So if you have any questions, audio or visual issues, go ahead and chat Austin. And she's also going to be monitoring the chat for questions during the Q&A and during the presentation. So at any time, feel free to drop a question. She'll either interrupt me or we'll bring it into the Q&A afterwards. All right, well, let's get started here. Since I think we're new to a lot of you, I'll just give you a brief overview of who and what College Outside is. College Outside is the outdoor industry's supplier for outdoor education groups. So through a College Outside account, outdoor education groups have access to wholesale pricing at all of the brands we represent, which at this point is over 75 top outdoor brands. And our mission really is just to make gear purchasing easy, to be a resource for you in the outdoor industry. Most industries have some sort of supplier or wholesaler that works with educational groups, and we are that for the outdoor industry. If you already work with College Outside and have an account with us, then you're familiar with this. And if you don't, you can easily apply for an account on our website, collegeoutside.com/apply, and we will set you up. It's a free account. And then you log in. Once you have your account, you can log in, and it's like shopping anywhere online, except everything's at wholesale-based prices. Our team is small, but we are lean and very effective. We all have backgrounds in outdoor education and the outdoor industry. So I already introduced myself. I briefly introduced Austin. She used to be the assistant director of the Davidson College Outdoors program, and she has a robust background in outdoor education. She's our customer experience manager and group sales manager. So she's also going to be helping groups with setting up quotes, answering questions about equipment, and figuring out when things are going to be available, which we will dig into here shortly. Also on our team, and I think I saw in the meeting today, is Trevor Harcourt. He's our e-commerce account manager. So he manages all of the products and brands relationships on our site. We also have Adele, who's our marketing manager, and Rebecca, who keeps us in line. That's our small team. We're located all over the country. I'm here with you today in Santa Barbara, California. So quick overview of how the supply chains typically work, and then we'll dig into what happens during the pandemic and then what that means for you going forward. So the basic overview of the supply chain, at least in the outdoor industry and in many industries, is that you have, first you have to get the products made. So the brands figure out how much product they want to have manufactured. Typically, manufacturing runs happen 1 to 2 times a year. They decide how much product to make based off of orders placed from retailers, their forecast for what their online expected purchases are, as well as like from College Outside, for example, we provide forecasts to all of the brands based off of what we think colleges, universities, and outdoor education groups are going to be purchasing. And so they can make enough equipment so that we can buy it and acquire it throughout the year. Once the manufacturing order is placed, the product gets shipped to the warehouses of the brands, usually somewhere in the US. And then at that point, the product is then shipped out to the different retailers or directly to customers if they're ordering online or through College Outside. What's really nice is most brands actually produce an excess amount of product each season, which allows them just a buffer. Let's say it's a particularly good ski season, right? Lots of snowfalls and a lot of people are buying more skis than normal. The brands want to have some extra product on hand so that they can fulfill those orders. This product is this kind of excess product is called ASAP product or ATS, available to sell inventory. And essentially it's just excess inventory that's on hand. So if you've ever bought from College Outside, if you've ever bought from a pro site, let's say Outdoor Pro Link or Expert Voice, among many other types of online retailers, you are actually purchasing from ASAP or ATS inventory. So through College Outside, the way that we're set up is we actually have access to the inventory availability from all of the brands we work with. So when you're logged on to College Outside, you're on a product page and you can see what inventory is available for what products. That's actually the exact same, that's like literally the product that is in that warehouse for that brand. And so we have access to the same availability as a brand does when you're purchasing through us. Okay, so here's what happens with the pandemic. There was a couple of very acute things that happened, and then there was just some kind of other, just kind of general system-wide unique things that happened. So obviously when everything kind of shut down right away in March, there was some very big reactivity that happened. Primarily REI actually canceled all of their orders for the spring, all of them. That's like millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment purchasing an order that they canceled. In reaction, a lot of the manufacturing brands canceled their next manufacturing run so that they wouldn't be stuck with large quantities of equipment. That all happened within about 4 days in March. And then, as you know, what happened within the next few weeks, the outdoors became the new thing, and everybody rediscovered the outdoors and realized that this was a thing that they could do safely in the pandemic. So within a month, and what we're living in right now is some of the highest demand that we've ever experienced in the outdoor industry, which is a beautiful thing. We love the fact that more people are rekindling their love and connection with outdoor spaces. It's a very healthy way to get to live your life these days. So we saw high demand, and then for the brands that started actually manufacturing, again, most everybody has done that at this point, they were hit with pandemic-based restrictions. So having to be socially distanced within their manufacturing plants or warehouses. Imagine trying to build a boat that normally takes 6 people when you can only have like 2 of you in a room. So there was just a bottleneck on manufacturing and also in just the actual warehouse distribution. So what this ended up being in just basic economic terms is demand just greatly outpacing supply. And this has happened. We were starting to see the effects of this in 2020. And now we are in May of 2021, and we are seeing this bottleneck as well. For example, some brands are still struggling to fill their orders right now that were placed in the summer of 2020. So these delays are quite significant across the industry. For anybody who studied economics, if you're like, hey, well, increased demand, increased supply, that is true. And a lot of brands are racing to match their supply to the demand that they're experiencing. But there are a few brands who are unwilling to make these investments because they feel like what we're experiencing right now is just a few-year bubble, and it might not be worth the multi-million-dollar investment to open up a new manufacturing plant or establish a new supply chain. For those brands that are trying to establish new supply chains, that still takes a couple of years. So, we might not see that supply rise to meet the demand until maybe the end of next year, even for the brands who are really on top of it and trying to get things made as fast as possible. So we are just squarely in the sweet spot right now of supply and demand being out of balance. So to give you a kind of example of this, one of our vendors is a well-known boat manufacturer in the Southeast. They make kayaks and canoes. And in a typical year, they house a surplus of over 20,000 boats across all of their categories. That's that kind of ASAP and ATS inventory that I was referencing earlier. Due to all of the issues I just mentioned, they've actually sold through all of their surplus, as well as all of the boats that they've been able to manufacture last year. And they really just can't even keep up with demands. We heard from them actually last week, they're still filling orders that were placed in June of 2020. And their main preseason happens in the fall. So they haven't even hit their major forecasting season for their retailers. So where we stand right now with these boats and canoes and kayaks is orders that are placed right now. And this slide, we did make these slides a couple of weeks ago, and I think this is even a little out of date, is that boat orders placed right now will not be delivered till probably next summer, as things currently stand. This is a scenario that can be applied big or small across most of the outdoor brands that we work with. So these are some of the products that we're seeing issues with right now. Again, these slides were made a couple of weeks ago, and this changes all of the time. This changes regularly. So, but these are kind of the main categories that we're seeing issues in. So anything that floats, boats, sups, rafts, tents, especially 1- and 2-person tents and 3-person tents. I think that back orders placed right now are currently expected to deliver in maybe November or December of this year. Bikes certainly aren't going to be delivered till next year. Camp furniture, camelots, other rock climbing protection, climbing ropes, crash pad skis, snowshoes, snow safety equipment, sleeping bag, pads, and sun bags. So we made this list because, if these are categories that you are thinking about ordering, or you're used to being able to just kind of order when you're ready to have delivered relatively quickly, these are going to be some of the categories where you're going to see the most extended timelines. It's important to note that these are not brand specific. These are category specific. So demand across the categories. So 2-person tents are out for all brands. So what this means for you, if you are a purchaser or planner for your equipment for your program, in general, if something is out of stock right now, whether through College Outside or through whatever platform you typically use, it might stay that way for a while. In a normal year, we might say it's out of stock. It might come back into stock next month. That's really not the case. So it's important to just start thinking ahead and not expecting these products to come back in stock right away. Occasionally, of course, they might. Let's say a retailer cancels an order and suddenly stock appears. we are seeing sometimes stock appear for a day and then disappear for another day. So it's just a very volatile inventory availability situation right now. Your best option in terms of ordering these products is actually to place a back order or a pre-order for this equipment. This is something that you can do through your College Outside account. We built a new system to be able to allow you to pre-order and back order gear that is out of stock. And we have agreements with all of these brands to say, or with most of these brands and most of these products, that we can at least get you in the queue for the product that's expected to arrive in November. So to use that example of two-person tents again, if you placed a back order for them right now, it's called a back order because those tents are currently out of stock, but they'll gonna come back into stock in November. So if you placed a back order for two-person tents right now, that would get you in line so that they would be delivered in November. If you waited until November to place that order, they won't be delivered till probably next summer. And so there's already folks lining up for products that are going to be delivered 6 to 12 months from now. If something is in stock right now that you need or you might need in the next year, I would highly recommend pulling the trigger and making that purchase. This might mean rearranging the products that you were thinking about buying or needing this year and thinking ahead for what you might want to be replacing next year. So especially if you're in a situation where you need to be spending your budget in the next couple of months, if your fiscal year is July 1st, for example, there are still things in stock, a lot of especially apparel. There's a lot of repair parts still in stock, a lot of accessories. And there are still some tents and sleeping bags in some categories. If you're, willing to be brand flexible, then there are options. And I would recommend buying things that are in stock right now and not assuming that they're going to be in stock, in a couple of months. All of this, of course, as you can imagine, is affected by the seasons. So be thinking ahead of the season. Squarely in the middle of ski season, it was nearly impossible to get skis or let's say a beacon or shovel or probe for the backcountry. Now that we're out of the ski season, the BCA has been able to get their supply back up, and there are plenty of beacons to buy. So now is a great time to be buying ski gear, for example. We're squarely in the middle of climbing season, and we're quickly approaching hiking and camping season, and those are the items and categories where we're feeling the pinch. So think ahead of the season, get creative maybe with when you're buying things. And again, not making that assumption that something's in stock right now will remain in stock through the summer. For those of you that are familiar with College Outside, we just wanted to use this opportunity to update you on some of the changes we've been making to our platform to make it the easiest group purchasing platform possible. One, we've made inventory available by SKU and by product on each product page. So you can go in and say, okay, I want to buy this jacket, but I can see if I need a size run, I should be getting it in black because it's not available in blue. So we just wanted to give you those tools to put in your hands to help you make decisions. The second thing is to ask us for ETAs to help with your planning. We have visibility with most brands, in most cases, on maybe when things are going to become available. And I say maybe because that does change every day. So we can give you the most accurate ETA when you are ready to place an order and when that order has been placed. We can give you kind of a general timeline before then, but again, things are moving quite quickly. I spoke with our friends at NRS recently, and I think they're in a similar situation where they're spending 90% of their time providing ETAs to their customers. So this is just a situation that we and most brands are in, and we're happy to have that available, visibility on ETAs so that we can help you plan. This also means, for example, if you're trying to get two-person tents, we have the ability to look across, 8 different tent brands and say, okay, if timing is an issue, we recommend ordering these Kelty tents because they're going to be delivered earlier than the Nemo tents. So we can also provide you those guidance and ETAs in order to help your purchasing plan. You can place these back orders on our site. A lot of the products in these categories where we are comfortable with doing this automatically are just set to back order, and you place the order on our site. It feels like placing an order normally, either using a credit card or requesting a quote or paying by purchase order on our site. So you can do that, or you can do it by working with somebody on our team like Austin, for example, to help you plan out your purchasing and your schedule. When you are placing a back order for sold out gear, we recommend considering adding a cancel by date. You can do this in the comments section or just by letting us know. And this says, hey, okay, I want to order these tents, but if they're not going to be delivered by October 1st, that's just too late. So I want to cancel the order by then. So cancel by dates are perfectly appropriate. We can cancel an order if it's just not going to get shipped in the timeline that you need. The other thing that we're doing is we're actively making an effort to reserve key items through College Outside when possible. Not as easy as we were hoping, but for example, recently we were able to essentially pre-buy a few hundred one-person tents and two-person tents and a number of sleeping bags for the fall that are very popular. So we're trying to also do what we can to hold inventory for the groups that use College Outside to place orders. The other thing that's really helpful here that we know that groups deal with and that College Outside can support is just flexibility in payment terms. And as a company, we can really support any combination of odd purchasing requirements that your program might have. Just to give you a few examples, products needing to be back ordered in this fiscal year, because we need to place the order now, but you can't pay for it until next fiscal year. That's okay. Maybe it's the opposite. You need to pay for the product right now, but it's okay if it gets delivered next year. Maybe you need to pay in installments. Again, pretty much any fiscal or purchasing based combination, we can help you with that, which might help with some of the kind of getting creative and navigating purchasing for the next couple of years. Also, we've run into a couple of groups, especially universities, who have policies regarding pre-ordering versus back ordering. Just different, the university itself has different policies on what they can do based off of what the order is called. We can help you figure that out, whether we call a back order a pre-order or not. For those of you who are familiar with what pre-ordering means, that is that point in that original supply chain, which is before the manufacturing run happens. So if you can place a pre-order, for example, of skis to be delivered next season, that's a pre-order. However, with the supply chain as it is, the line between pre-order and back order has become quite blurred just because the delivery dates are so far extended. So a lot of brands are kind of just saying like, okay, we're not really doing pre-ordering anymore, just order and we'll deliver it when we can. And hopefully they'll catch up, and they're literally just making as much as they can. So there really is no need to go through a typical pre-order cycle and forecasting. It's literally just like max capacity manufacturing. So we're prepared to work with each of your programs to overcome financial barriers or purchasing barriers to the best of our ability. The best thing you can do is just communicate it to us. Again, we represent over 500 universities who purchase their equipment from us, and high schools and outdoor education programs around the country. We've probably heard it, and we can help you with that. So the kind of too long didn't read of the whole thing is just the sooner you let us know or start planning ahead of time, I think the better the situation is that you're going to be in. You'll just be a little bit less frustrated. You'll find yourself just a little bit more prepared and understanding of what's happening, and hopefully getting as many of your students outside as possible. So that's what we've got for you in terms of this presentation today. Thank you so much. And I think we've got a bunch of questions here. So Austin, are there any questions that we should start with?
At the moment, the questions kind of are about College Outside. Okay. And so I think the important factor to note is that as like College Outside is what we're saying is College Outside is uniquely situated to help outdoor education groups get through this, like all these challenges with the industry at the moment, because purchasing has gotten to be so hard. And so because of the way that we are set up as compared to other outdoor sites that you might buy from, you can always like ask us to help you, and we're ready to help you. And so because it's messy, and depending on your school's purchasing policies, it might like the way that you interact with the industry right now might be different. And so we can kind of help you negotiate that, because we're a small team meant to serve outdoor educators. So we kind of understand that situation. But yeah, the general take is just plan way far ahead and be ready to pick something different. Your fleets may not match as you really want them to right now. And that's the big takeaway.
And if you're used to working with brands directly, and, you know, again, remembering that we access the same inventory as they do, but also we have dedicated sales reps at each of these brands that work with us closely, that are getting back to us. They're also incredibly busy and slammed. So if you haven't been able to get in touch with your typical sales reps, you're probably not the only ones right now. And so again, we can be a resource for you on that. Group membership for College Outside is totally free. The way that we make money as an organization is by getting a commission of sales that go through us. So the brands that we work with see College Outside as like a just really efficient sales rep almost. And most of them at this point are really excited to be able to reach more university and outdoor education groups than they could do in-house. I saw a question earlier, or concern around cost of gear, given potential supply chain shortages. I think this is an issue. I mean, I think in general, part of the economics of supply and demand is just that often then price of goods can increase. This also has to do with just, for example, certain actual raw goods, the price increasing across just the globe right now with the global importing situations that we're running into and different taxes. So we are seeing some price increases slowly. Most of those won't hit until 2022. But we do expect some price increases across a lot of categories: bikes, boats, snowshoes, for example. Also, again, in terms of budgeting, something that we've just seen, of course, we sell product around wholesale prices. If you need something right now, we encourage you to go to your local specialty retail store. You will be paying full retail price for them, which is just something to consider with your budgeting, within your budgeting parameters. Any questions? Any other things? You can raise your hand, or we'd love to hear your voice, or type it in the chat. Yeah, you're very welcome, Zane. I'll give one more plug. And again, I hope that it was just kind of helpful from a larger purchasing standpoint. I hope that it helped just kind of help you understand what's happening right now and reduces frustration over the next season. You can always reach out to us. Austin, maybe you can drop my email in the chat. It's sarah@collegeoutside.com. You can reach Austin at shop@collegeoutside.com to answer any questions. I'd be happy to talk. We'd be happy to talk with any of you in your specific programs about concerns you have, needs you have. We have programs who just email us spreadsheets of equipment needs, and we can help them plan that out. This is just what we do. We love doing it. We love working with outdoor education groups.
Yeah, just to throw it out there. So one question that came up early was about the repair supply. And so just throwing it out there, some repair items have been feeling some stress, but others are stable. So it really just depends upon the item that you're looking for specifically. And so you're always welcome to email me at the shop@collegeoutside or the support@collegeoutside.zendesk.com. Either one, I answer both of those personally. And so if you send me a list of specifically what you're looking at or links to products, and it can be on our site or other sites, I'll get back to you with information that we have on it. So
yeah. And we encourage you, it's a great time to be figuring out how to repair products and fix things that you might have just replaced in the future. That's a great thing for both you and your students to learn how to do. That's got to really reduces our environmental impact and footprint across the board. So we're also been sending out a lot of how to repair product videos. I highly recommend a quick Google. Most things are actually more repairable than you might think. Also, a lot of these brands have great warranty for parts. If you need to just replace rain flies or footprints or stakes, these are all things that we can do, or we can work with the brands to help you get just to upkeep your current fleets.
Yeah, and we have been doing a lot of helping groups with warranties and repair products that are specific. So that's something that, and we've been able to add products like repair products to our site as needed based on a group's needs. So if you need a very specific repair item and we have access to be able to add it to the site, it's very easy to do that. And we can even send you some information on how to use it. So just let us know.
We had a question last week around how this is affecting purchasing for the student leaders and staff of your programs. So although the majority of our work as College Outside is as a group purchasing platform, we do provide individual pro deal accounts for your student trip leaders and staff. They're going to just be experiencing the same things you are. Although I will say for some of let's say a higher end product, a product that you might not put in your rental fleet, but that an individual student might want to buy, those products tend to be more available. But just giving them a heads up too, that, if they're trying to get their gear at a discount, just again, to think ahead of the season, and we'd be happy to support them as well.
Sarah and Austin, thank you so much. This was so fascinating and so informative. We really appreciate it. And thank you, all of you, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Be sure to reach out to Sarah and Austin and check out College Outside and check out AEE if you haven't. We would love to see you all at some of our roundtable discussions. We host those monthly, and we have other activities that you can be part of. So it'd be great to see you all.
Thanks, everybody. It was great to see you all. We're posting the slides here in the chat as well if you'd like to see the slides, and I think we can email them out as well after. Okay.